What's up guys, I'm Uriel Soto. Now in this video, we're going to be creating a cool looking hover card, and I completely custom coded it using CSS, so I hope you guys really do enjoy it. Now this is what we're going to be building here. I actually have two sets for you guys. So the first one is whenever we hover over this, you will see that this box gets filled, and we have this cool transition from a circle to this square here. And I just love how it just is super smooth, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. And then the next one that we have is we're not showing the description at all, and then whenever we hover, we can go ahead and see the description. I know that it kind of just shifts up, but that's just how we're going about doing it. So it is kind of cool little animation there. So I hope you guys do find this helpful, and if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to like the video for the YouTube algorithm. Definitely helps out the channel and the video out a lot. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Now I hope you guys enjoy. So let's begin. So I've launched my Elementor Editor here. Now sorry I haven't uploaded in a while guys. I've honestly just been sick, and that's one of the main reasons why I haven't uploaded in like a few weeks. But I do have a lot planned for you guys, and there is a lot that I want to do with this channel. It's just that I also run another business, and I don't have all the time to focus on this channel, but I'm trying to focus a lot more because, as I can tell, a lot of you guys are enjoying what I'm coming out with, and you know, I really appreciate that you guys do like all of my content. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just create a section here. And we're gonna just start off with 2 columns, because I got to give you different scenarios, because I know a lot of you guys always have issues, and I like to always dive through different scenarios because, you know, everyone's situation is always different. So let's just add some padding to this section here, and let's do about 100 from the top and 100 from the bottom. And then let's go ahead and add our icon box. And we're going to go ahead and just do this to one of them, and then we're going to copy and paste it to the rest. So first thing that we need to do is set up our icon box settings. So make sure that your view is set to default. And then I'm going to just use this lorem ipsum text. That's fine. You can choose your icon. Maybe I'm going to do just something random. I'll probably just do maybe a screen or mobile. There we go, mobile phone here. That's fine. Okay. So now go into your style, and then we're gonna make, let's see here, the icon size should be 33. The spacing is gonna be 50. And you'll kind of see why this is important later on. And then we're going to change this color to white. And in our advanced settings, we're going to adjust our padding. So my top padding is going to be 60. And then my left padding here, or sorry, my right padding. As you know what, I think, yeah, you know what, my right padding is going to be 20. And then bottom is going to be 40, and my left padding is also going to be 20. So it's about the same on the right and the left anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Now this is pretty important, especially your top padding is actually probably the most important, to be honest. And you'll kind of see here why in a little bit. Now, of course, right now we cannot see anything. We can't even see the icon, right? Because it's all white, and the background's white, so you just can't see it. We just need to add some stylizing, so then we can go ahead and see our icon with our little circle, just like how I showed you guys in the beginning. So we need to add a class here, and the class I'm going to add is icon box. So do icon dash box. And now Now, instead of adding I could add my CSS down here within my icon box, but since I want this to work with all of my icons, with all of my icon boxes, I'm gonna go ahead and paste it in my section here. So that's usually what I do when I'm targeting more than one element. I usually add my CSS in the section instead. So we're going to go into advanced, and of course, if you don't have Elementor Pro, I'll show you how to do it without it towards the end of the video. And basically, you're just going to paste the CSS in the customizer, and you're just going to remove selector, but I'll go over that towards the end of the video. So let me go ahead and copy the CSS here and just paste it in. Now, of course, it's going to do everything right away for me, but I do want to go over some things so you guys do have some knowledge on that. So now, as you can tell, whenever I hover over this, we have this cool little fill animation, and the text turns white. Now, I don't like the text being blue, so I'm going to go into my icon box and change that. There we go. So that's better. And of course, you can adjust your font however you would like. Now, this is working perfectly. Now, the cool part is that I already set it so then it works on most devices, but you may have to adjust some breakpoints, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. But let's go over some of the CSS here. So the first one that we have here is, this is just a general border radius padding, and as you can tell on this box, I added border radius on each edge here. So if I remove it, just so then you guys can tell, it's gone, right? But the box itself, it still has that border radius anyway whenever you hover over it. But the box that we have here before you hover, that one is still set to not have a border radius. And the reason why that's important is because some of you guys may want to add a background to this. You know, I know that sometimes we have our little service boxes and we have backgrounds on these, right? And I'm actually going to grab this color here. And this will be another issue that you will notice, actually, and it is great that I'm running through it, because you may want to add a background to your icon box, and you will notice a glitch. Trust me, there is a glitch. So I would recommend, and it's probably the other option I'm going to show you, the one that hides the description. That one you probably don't want to have your background I guess created on here using the editor. You want to actually do it within your custom CSS. So let me go back and just add that in. So if I add that in, you notice that there are no edges, but when I hover over this, now it just seems kind of clunky, right? It's not, you can kind of still see that background there. So that's why I have that border radius there. Let me go back here to this one. And that's why I had that on there. So let me go ahead and actually, you know what? I just deleted it. I'll just put it back. And I had it at 10 pixels. Okay. But as you can tell, it doesn't really work with it, right? You notice that it didn't really do anything. So that's why you want to actually, instead of making your background on here within your icon box element, you actually want to do it within the CSS. There is a lot to go through in this video, and there's so many combinations that you can do with these icon boxes, and you know, it'd take me all day to go over a bunch of stuff, but I'll try to go through as much as I can, because I know you guys are going to have these questions. So anyway, go ahead and actually add the background for the icon box within your CSS, and this is where you want to add it. Background color, and we're going to set that to probably the same one that I was using. So now, as you can tell, we have that rounded edge here on each side, and whenever we hover, it matches the animation fill, right? We also have that rounded there. So that's perfect. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to use this, so I'm going to just remove this for now. But this is just how we're going to go about doing it. Okay. Okay, so the next one here this one's very important. This is basically your as you can tell, it says icon box circle style. So this is what's creating this before you hover. It's what's creating that circle. So if I actually remove this, you notice that it will remove that circle, and then it would just look at this. It would be ugly, right? So it doesn't work properly there. So that's pretty much what that does there. And you can actually change that color, that background color of the circle. It's right here. So if we wanted to maybe change that to red, we can do that, you see. And I have comments on the CSS, so you guys can see change color here and just change that there. And you don't need to worry about any of this other stuff right now unless you know CSS and there are some adjustments that you need to make, then you can go ahead and do that. And then right here, this is basically on hover. So whenever someone hovers over this, this is an animation that it's creating. So this is what this one is for. If I delete this, you notice there probably won't be an animation of a fill. And then you can change the fill color here. This is pretty important because you definitely want to change the fill color depending on your website, right? And of course you can maybe have two different colors if you wanted to, and maybe have that cool little transition, right, where it just changes colors as well. That's up to you. I do have the transition set to all, so the animation will work with any style anyway, so that's fine. And I'm not going to go over everything. If I do, it's going to take me a lot longer in this video, but if you guys do have any questions, just comment down below. But I mean, this other you shouldn't really change anything else besides the color, so you should be fine there. And then over here we have the title. This one is pretty important. So basically whenever I hover over this, you see how this title here, this title here turns white. Well, that's the color that we want it to turn into, white. Let's say I needed the title color to turn red whenever we hover over it. Sorry, let me just do red. So whenever we hover over it, you see how it turns red. So that's pretty much what that's for. I added important. It's not really that necessary, but for some websites that you may have, it might not work if you don't have important on there. It does work for mine, but I've tested it on others and it just depends. So just in case things don't work, sometimes you do have to do important. And then just transition, it's not too important, but that's just a transition from turning black to white. But I have it set to all. I mean, I could target the color, but it's fine. I like to just do all just to make it easier. And then the next one we got to go over is our description. As you can, I mean, you can easily tell within the classes what it's targeting as well. So this one is a description. So basically, whenever we hover over this box, we're telling the basically in the CSS to turn the text white whenever we hover over it. And you see how it just turns white, and it's very smooth, and I made that on purpose for it to be smooth like that. So yeah, so that's looking good there. All right, so that's what that's for. And like I said, you can just change the color to anything really, depending on whatever color your background is for your hover. Obviously that color does not go with it. So let's go to move on to the next one here. Now these are actually pretty important. As you can tell, they're media queries. So basically they're for breakpoints. So this one starts at 1325 pixels. Anything below that is going to get adjusted, and then anything below 1150 and 1025 and 404, you guys kind of get the gist of it on how those breakpoints would work. So basically this is just adjusting the top part, and let me go ahead and show you guys what I mean by that. So I'm not gonna go over this too much. I'll just go over one of them, so then you know where to adjust that, because you will have that issue sometimes. Like I said, everyone's screen is going to be different, and you're gonna have different scenarios. So let's go ahead and shrink this up here. Right click and go to inspect, in case you guys didn't know how to do that. And then we're just going to shrink our screen here, and we notice, yeah, it's good right now, and it's pretty much looks perfect every time, right? But that's because we have those breakpoints. So, and you can kind of see it move a little bit, but let's say I were to just comment these out, and then I save it, and you notice that now because it's not perfect. That's why we got to add those breakpoints. I wish I knew how to just make that center every single time, but sadly I haven't figured it out. So you can tell whenever I move, you see how the I guess the icon isn't really at the center, and that's why we need to maybe push the circle down a bit sometimes. So it's for that reason. That's why we added those, so it could kind of at least align to the bottom. We don't really need to adjust left to right. It's just the top portion, as you can tell from here. So let me show you another example here. So wow, I totally just removed the dots on those. There we go. All right, so let's say I can show this to you from tablet, just so then you get a better idea here. Let's start off on tablet, and let's target this one with just pretty much anything below. And this is the same thing, so it's kind of redundant. We don't need to kind of even have this one really, but I mean, if you guys did want to have that option, that's fine. I just wanted to add multiple breakpoints in case you guys were having issues anyway. So anything below 1025. Notice that now I can just go ahead and set this to 5, and you see how it would just move it around from the top, and that's obviously not the position that we want it. But that's what that does, and that's what each breakpoint is for. This one is for mobile. So if we go into mobile view, and it's anything below 404, you see how we can just adjust this as well. You know, in case you guys are having those issues, that's just how you would go ahead and adjust it with breakpoints. Oops, I just went too far back and added that background again. Let me just move that here. So and if you did want to add more breakpoints, it's very simple. Just go ahead and copy this breakpoint, paste it either. Now it just depends. I would say paste it below if you're going to add a breakpoint that's lower than this size. So let's say it's going to be 300, then this would be fine. But if it's going to be 500, anything below the 500, 6 or even 600 width, this would actually be above this CSS class. Sorry, this CSS. And then if it's anything above 1025, same thing, you put it above that, right? And you can get the right sizes. If you're wondering, well, how do I get the right sizes? You can actually just right click and then go ahead and inspect like I showed you, and then just make sure your dimensions is set to responsive, and you can adjust this and move this around, and this is the width that you're pretty much targeting, right? So that's how you go about doing that there. All right, so now that I've gone over that one, this is going to be a pretty long video, but I do want to give you guys a lot of value on this one. So let me go back into desktop and show you another scenario, because I know that there are a lot of you that probably use Flexbox, and what I mean by that is you probably go ahead and use your horizontal alignment, and you do space between and all that, and you just like to have everything in one line. So you can do that as well. So let me duplicate a bunch of these just to show you it works the same way. So actually I should have honestly not even duplicated until I actually fixed it. So go into advanced. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, just in case for those of you that do this, custom, and then we're gonna add 4 of them. So I usually like to do two pixels under the amount that I'm adding. So it's usually 25. We're gonna do 23, just so then I have some spacing. And you see that issue now that we're having there with the circle where the icon isn't centered, and that's where we would go about fixing that. And then look, I'm gonna duplicate these, right? And now I'm gonna click on my column and my horizontal alignment. We're gonna set it to space between, and now we have that all set. I know a lot of you guys can do that, and then you can just shrink your font. That's fine. You don't have to do it within the CSS. You could just do it within here. Go to content and just shrink that. That shouldn't affect anything. You should be fine. So I can even show you. Let me just shrink this a little bit. Shouldn't really affect anything, so you should be fine there. But as you can tell, the icon is not in the center. So basically you just go back into your CSS, go into advanced, and then we just need to adjust this. I mean, you don't really need to do it at the breakpoint level right now. You just honestly do it from here, because This is just any size. This is just a desktop, so you'd actually do it from right here, the top. So we need to just probably add more pixels, maybe do about 13. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm totally wrong about that. It's backwards. So it's actually going down too much. So we probably got to do about 8. There we go. So 8 will center it. So basically we're saying from the top, move it down 8%, according to obviously this box here. So that's centered. And then now, obviously, if you start to check your if you go to tablet, now you have that issue. But obviously, most people on tablet, we maybe set this up to positioning instead of 23. You may have this set to like 48, right? So then you can have 2 of them instead, and 2 of them right under each other. And you could just, you know, oops, that did not work. Kind of wondering why that didn't, but sometimes there's just these little glitches with Elementor. But you kind of get the gist of it. I'm not going to go over and do the same thing with these. I'm just showing you. So now that that's looking pretty good, and then on mobile, you would end up doing the same thing here. Maybe we'd have this set to 100% positioning. I'm just giving you guys little scenarios there. And as you can tell, we didn't even need to adjust it really. It's all really looking really good anyway. So you can just use that same CSS there. Now, real quick, we're going to go over the last one here. Let me go ahead and actually delete this. I'm going to leave the same box because we're going to use the same settings that we were using earlier. I'm just going to add another column probably just to show you guys that. And then I'll probably just give you guys that scenario later. And I'm going to set the default again. So we're going to use the same settings that we have in order to hide the description. And then I'm pretty sure I showed you whenever you scroll, you see the description. So just have the same settings default right there. Same spacing, same height. You can even set this to 30. Your icon doesn't really matter, honestly. You can have the same spacing for your padding, but the CSS will be a little bit different. So let's go into advanced and custom CSS, and I'm just going to repaste the CSS on there. I'm going to actually remove this entire thing. I mean, it's honestly very similar to this, but it's just I just added onto it, and I just want to be safe and not have to fix things as I go. So I'm just going to copy all of the code here that I have for this one. Now you see this one will hide the description, and then as soon as you hover over it, you'll be able to see it, right? And it is kind of cool there. And it kind of grows as well if you actually did want that to grow. So then we can it's pretty much the same concept. If you wanted to go ahead and then adjust the icon sizing on that in case, you know, the bubble here wasn't aligned, you can do that. Same thing. So I'm not going to go over the CSS too much. I'm just going to go over the new part that I added here. And it's pretty much, I believe it's these two here. So basically this CSS right here will make the description disappear. I set the font size to 0. I set the opacity to 0 as well. And then I did a transition all. So that's why we can't see the fonts, the description right now. And then whenever we hover, we set the font size back to 100% and we set the opacity back to 1. So then we still have that cool little transition and that smooth transition. There we go. You see? Now you are noticing that, you know, it does grow, right? It does shift your section down whenever you hover over it. Now, I mean, for me, I think that's fine, but maybe for you, you don't want that. You just want it to be smooth, right? Where it's not shifting anything down. So actually what you would do is just remove from here. You would just remove font size. You'd have to just remove font size from here and then remove font size from here. And then as you can tell now, it's perfect. But obviously we just, the issue with that is that it doesn't really, your icon and your title don't get centered, and that's probably just kind of an issue, and that's why I don't like doing that. That's why I had it set the other way. So, and you know, right now you can't really tell, but let's say for, you know, let's say you had a background set for this. Remember, I was going over the background and stuff like this. So if you had maybe a background set to gray, I know I'm gonna add this really nasty gray, but and then you see that how you have that spacing there, and it doesn't look the best. But how we can get rid of that is just by adding that that font size set to 0 pixels. And then that just completely removes that. Actually, sorry, you don't got to do pixels, just do 0%. God, I hate how it does this. So just do 0% on here, and you see how now it does kind of center. At least it drops it at least a little bit better, so you don't have that spacing too much. But what you could do, you could just go in here, and I'm just giving you suggestions here, right? Sorry, go back into your CSS. You probably have to go into your box here and then just set the top margin to actually try to like bring that down. But then that would kind of affect everything else, and you just have to bring your bubble, your little bubble there, you'd have to bring that down as well. So we'd probably have to go in here and then maybe adjust this. Where is it here? Adjust this maybe to 15 or whatever that may be. But so maybe 30, but you kind of get the gist of it. I'm not trying to get it perfect, probably just 25, somewhere around there. And then right now we can't see that yet. Let's go to make sure that our font size is set to 100% on here. So now you see how like now it actually works. But yeah, I mean, that's fine, but we still have that space above, just that little issue. So that's why I just would rather have it like this first, and then not have this here. I'm just going to go back to how it was. I'm actually going to repaste my CSS that I originally had, just to kind of set everything to how it was again. And then we just adjust the box here, set to 60. There we go. So that's why I kind of like it like this instead. And then what you could do is just paste it all around. So then it grows. And I mean, you could even set up, I think if you set up a minimum height, you may not even have, you see that? You're not even going to have that issue. So it's not really going to move if you set up a minimum height to that. I would just set up a minimum height that's actually a lot better than, you know, than doing all of that. You see how now, I mean, it does shift up, right? It does, but the thing is, though, it doesn't move your section. So it is a lot better. That's just what I wanted to kind of show you guys there. Okay. So now for those of you that don't have Elementor Pro, in order to get this to work, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this one here, and actually we can have both of them, it doesn't really matter. So this is fine, leave all the settings the same. Obviously we can't really paste our CSS that we have right here anymore because we don't have Elementor Pro, but what we can do is just grab the same one, right? And now obviously we don't have a style to this, that's fine. But we did already add our classes to each box here. Go into your customizer and we can paste a code in there, but we're gonna have to maybe remove selector instead. So it's very simple. So just remove selector from each one here. And you'll kind of see how it will slowly start to work. That's really all you need to do. Hopefully I'm not overcomplicating it for those that don't have Elementor Pro. Just literally remove this on every single one, even on this breakpoint here, on this breakpoint here, and then the last one here, and that's it. You just remove that and it will work perfectly anyway. Do the same thing for the other version as well, where you showed your description. Anyway, I mean, honestly, I prefer the other one. I don't like this movement that much either. So I prefer actually doing the one that doesn't even, that shows a description in the first place. That's the one I would use on your website. That's the one I'm actually using on one of my new websites that I'm building. So that's pretty much it for this video. I honestly coded this entire CSS all by myself. I didn't just grab it off of some, code pen or whatever people do. It's completely coded all by me. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. And you guys get a lot out of it. And you guys got a lot out of this tutorial as well. Now, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.